My name is Serafina Cross, and I am a self-made millionaire. But none of the people at my wedding knew that. Not my family, not the guests, and certainly not the man waiting for me at the altar. Because I had learned something painful long before that day. Money can buy you the world, but it cannot buy you the truth about someone's heart. So before I said I do, I decided to hide everything. Every dollar, every asset, every trace of the life I had built with my own two hands. I walked into my wedding looking like a woman who had nothing. And I did it on purpose. Because I needed to know one thing before it was too late. Would he still want me if I was poor? The answer nearly destroyed me. But what happened next? I never saw coming. Before I tell you what happened at that altar, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let me start from the beginning. I grew up surrounded by wealth. My parents were rich. Very rich. The kind of rich where people's voices changed when they spoke to you. Louder. Sweeter. More desperate to please. Even as a child, I noticed it. The way our housekeepers smiled differently at us than at each other. The way my father's business partners laughed at his jokes like their lives depended on it. The way my mother's friends complimented her jewelry first, then asked about her day second. It was always about the money. Never about us. I remember sitting in our garden when I was 12 years old. My father had just closed a deal worth millions. He came home with gifts for everyone. New dresses for my mother. A new tablet for me. But my mother didn't kiss him. She asked how much the deal was worth. And that moment stayed with me. Not because I blamed her, but because I saw the pattern so clearly. Even my parents' love had been shaped by wealth. Even their marriage had been built on something that could disappear. That night, I made a silent promise to myself. One day, I would build my own fortune. And then I would find someone who loved me with nothing attached. No money. No status. No hidden calculations. Just me. Years passed. I studied harder than anyone I knew. While other wealthy kids partied and traveled, I read quarterly reports. While my friends posted vacation photos, I learned about investing. I didn't use my family's money. I wanted to prove something to myself. So I started small. A tiny online business. Then another. Then an investment in something nobody believed in. One failure after another. One lesson after another. Long nights with no sleep. Weekends with no breaks. Years with no vacations. And then, it worked. By the time I was 28, I had built a company worth millions. Not inherited. Not gifted. Built. With my name on every document. With my sweat in every brick. I was a self-made millionaire. And yet, that empty feeling never went away. Because I still hadn't found what I was looking for. Every man my family introduced me to asked the same questions. How much is your company worth? What are your plans for expansion? Who manages your assets? Not one asked about my dreams. Not one asked what made me happy. Until my mother came to me one evening with hope in her eyes. There's someone you need to meet, my mother said. She told me about him. Alexander. Rich family. Successful business. Charming personality. Everything a mother could want for her daughter. I agreed to meet him. And when I did, I understood why everyone loved him. He was confident without being arrogant. Well-spoken without being rehearsed. He listened when I spoke. He remembered small details I mentioned days earlier. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe I had finally found him. We talked for hours about everything. Life. Goals. The future. He said all the right things. Laughed at all the right moments. Within weeks, our families had planned the wedding. Everything moved so fast. Too fast. But I ignored the warning signs because I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe so badly. The first sign was small. Almost invisible. He asked about my company's valuation. Normal conversation, I told myself. Business people talk about business. Then he asked again. And again. Every conversation somehow returned to money. How much did I have? Who controlled it? What would happen to it after marriage? I tried to ignore it. But the pattern was impossible to miss. One evening, I changed the topic on purpose. I talked about wanting a simple life. A quiet house. Peace over profit. He smiled. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. Money gives security, he said. Without it, life is hard. His words were reasonable, but his tone felt different. Colder. That night, I couldn't sleep. A question kept echoing in my mind. Does he love me? Or does he love what I have? I didn't want to know the answer, but I couldn't keep pretending either. So I made a decision. A dangerous one. I would hide everything and see what remained. Around this time, I met his brother, Daniel. They couldn't have been more different. Where Alexander was loud, Daniel was quiet. Where Alexander dominated conversations, Daniel listened. Where Alexander calculated every word, Daniel spoke simply and sincerely. At first, I barely noticed him. He stayed in the background. Never interrupted. Never tried to impress. But slowly, I started paying attention. One afternoon, Alexander started talking about money again, pressuring me about my share of the family wealth, making me uncomfortable. Daniel spoke up. If she doesn't want it, why does it matter? The room went silent. Alexander looked annoyed. It's not that simple. Daniel didn't argue. He just said, it is if you respect her choice. That moment stayed with me, because for the first time, someone had defended me without wanting anything in return. Daniel didn't know about my wealth. He thought I had nothing. And still, he stood up for me. Not because of what I owned, but because it was the right thing to do. I continued my test. Every day, I reminded Alexander that I had nothing. No inheritance. No family money. Just a simple woman with simple needs. At first, he pretended it didn't matter. But his patience was wearing thin. He started making comments. Small insults disguised as concern. You should really talk to your father again. It's not fair that your brother gets everything. You need to think about our future. Our future. Not my happiness. Not my peace. Our future wealth. One night, he didn't hide it anymore. We can't live like this, he said. I can't marry someone with nothing. I looked at him calmly. Then don't. He froze. For a moment, he looked scared. Then angry. Then cold. You're being unreasonable, he said. But I wasn't being unreasonable. I was seeing clearly for the first time. The man I was about to marry didn't want me. He wanted a bank account with a wedding ring. Meanwhile, Daniel never changed. He treated me the same whether we were alone or surrounded by people. He asked about my day, not my net worth. He made me laugh without trying to impress me. And, somewhere deep inside, I started comparing them. One man who wanted everything I had, and one man who wanted nothing but my happiness. The wedding day came faster than I expected. The hall was perfect. Flowers everywhere. Music playing. Hundreds of smiling faces. Everything looked like a fairy tale. But inside me, there was a storm. I looked at myself in the mirror. White dress. Perfect makeup. Calm expression. But my eyes told a different story. Was I making the biggest mistake of my life? The ceremony began. I walked down the aisle. Everyone smiled. My mother cried happy tears. Alexander stood at the altar, looking handsome and confident. For a moment, I almost believed everything would be okay. Then I looked into his eyes. And I saw it again. Not love. Not warmth. Calculation. He wasn't looking at his bride. He was looking at his future bank account. And in that moment, my doubt disappeared. I knew. Whatever happened next, I would not ignore the truth. The rituals continued. Step by step, we moved closer to the final moment. And then, just before everything could be completed, Alexander raised his hand. I need to say something, he said loudly. The music stopped. The room went completely silent. All eyes turned toward him. He stood there, calm and confident, like he had been waiting for this moment. I cannot marry this woman, he said. A wave of whispers spread across the hall. Shock. Confusion. Disbelief. My mother stood up. What are you saying? Alexander didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on the crowd. We were told she was wealthy, he continued. But the truth is, she has nothing. He paused, then his voice turned cruel. I will not spend my life with a beggar. The word hung in the air like poison. Someone laughed. Then more people laughed. Whispers grew louder. People started talking, judging, pointing. Is it true? She's not rich. Why did they plan this wedding? My father tried to step forward, anger on his face. But before he could speak, Alexander spoke again. I cannot marry someone like this, he said, his voice sharp and final. She is beneath me. The laughter grew louder. The humiliation was complete. But I didn't cry. I didn't run. Because this was exactly what I needed to see. And then, a voice broke through the noise. What are you doing? It was Daniel. He stepped forward, anger clear in his eyes. You can't do this. You can't humiliate her like this in front of everyone. Alexander turned toward him, annoyed. Stay out of this. But Daniel didn't move. This is wrong, he said firmly. She trusted you. For a moment, something changed in Alexander's face. Then he laughed. A cold, mocking laugh. Why do you care so much? He said. Silence. Then Alexander added, if you feel so bad for her, then you marry her. He looked at Daniel with a cruel smirk. She fits your status better anyway. More laughter. Crueler than before. I saw Daniel lower his head. The pressure in that room was brutal. Anyone else would have walked away. But Daniel didn't. After a few seconds, he lifted his head again. His voice wasn't loud, but it was steady. Fine, he said. I will marry her. The laughter stopped instantly. Complete silence filled the room. Alexander looked shocked. Are you serious? Daniel didn't look at him. He looked at me. Not with pity. Not with pressure. With sincerity. I won't let someone destroy her dignity, he said. And then, he knelt. Something inside me shifted. Not because he knelt, but because of why he knelt. There was no greed. No benefit. No calculation. Just respect. I raised my hand. Enough. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the silence. Everyone turned toward me. I took a step forward. Then another. Until I stood between them. I looked at Alexander first. And then I smiled. That smile made him uncomfortable. You're right, I said calmly. I lied. The crowd reacted immediately. Whispers rising. I told you I had nothing, I continued. I wanted to see the truth. His expression slowly changed from confusion to realization. I wanted to see if you would still stand beside me without money. Silence. Today, you gave me my answer. His face went pale. I turned toward the crowd. My father didn't build that wealth, I said. I did. Gasps spread across the hall. There is no brother. Nothing was ever taken from me. I looked back at Alexander. I wasn't looking for a rich man, I said. I was looking for a real one. I paused. And you just showed everyone who you are. He tried to speak, but no words came. Then I turned toward Daniel. He looked surprised. Unsure. You didn't stand for me because I'm rich, I said gently. You stood because it was right. I took a deep breath. And I made my choice. Not as a favor. Not out of pressure. I looked straight into his eyes. But because you are the man I was looking for. That night, I did get married. But not to the man I was supposed to marry. I married the man who knelt when everyone else laughed. Not the man who wanted my wealth. But the man who chose my dignity. And in that moment, I realized something I had been searching for my whole life. A real man doesn't stay when you have everything. He stays when you have nothing. Because his love was never about what you own. It was always about who you are. Alexander left that night with nothing but his pride. His family apologized. His reputation was ruined. But none of that mattered to me. Because I had found something worth more than all the money in the world. A loyal heart. And that was the only wealth I ever needed.